gonna try. Now my summer's just close.
Sucks being retired, doesn't it?
Uh,
Sucks being retired, right?
Yeah, it just, I was looking at that, I don't think I have a free day until somewhere in June. I'm not real happy about it.
People are getting my remedy from the moon, she's strong with energy.
And my wife asked me, what was it that she thought, she come home last night, thought that maybe we had to buy a side by side. I'm like, about against the side by side, we're gonna get it work, we're gonna build another shed. And then just, oh, we got four car stalls and they're all 4 full. Need another shed. Are we ever gonna fix that dry basin there on plot 3 of Westview Heights? It's never been dry. Are they gonna ever make Jensen fix that? It's
Supposed to be, did Matt send them,
That was supposed
they
to
were
be
supposed to get
on.
all that stuff fixed a year ago.
yeah, a year ago, they were gonna fix it all and they haven't done anything.
That again, I thought you got it done.
Hey, just the beaver bugs are so damn loud out there and then the snakes, they just get to be a marm of heaven with that constant water in there. I don't know who's ever gonna buy them 2 lots that it backs up to, cause it's just a shit show.
But the one up on the very north.
Yeah. It's never been dry, it's been wet since day 1.
Yeah, and we been told to get that done. She must have been on 2 years. Now it's supposed to be on. I thought you'd said that close to. Checking that.
I think the only one that's fairly dry is the one there that, is by Trimbles, isn't it?
Yeah, you probably take care of himself. He's supposed to do that one too, the one behind there, I think there's.
Well,
Hey, good
he
evening.
states.
Hi, sort of neighbors.
Hey, hello.
Sort of neighbors.
Sort of.
Something down the road,
Jump over the street.
up over the farm.
Yeah.
In striking distance.
Well, I just wondered about that, it's out of my brother's place there.
Seaside. Seaside water conservation.
Now they put a tile in and it actually has done a pretty good job with it. Probably should have been done that way to begin with. But it just was up doing some fence and stuff and you just the varmints that you see from it. I don't really know what is designed to go into it, because when Dave built his new house and built that area up 40 foot in the air, that started to change the whole water flow of everything there.
That basic rest of our space.
East. Northeast. But, you know,
Oh.
that whole corner just changed the drainage when we lifted that thing.
That's a good thing.
I still think we ought to look at engineering to that and just bring that road straight south to that basin. Hook it on. Go straight south and hook it on to, what is that gravel road's name, and bring it out.
Gary, which one? 306.
36th lane.
So I think bring that out, pave that, and bring it out there, just have another avenue in and out. That would relieve a lot of traffic issues in a lot of places. And I understand that hill's bad to see. I mean, coming up the hill, you can see fine, it's just turning into it, coming down the hill can be a little bit hairy, it's a roundabout there. I followed a guy today. We come to the first stop sign, I was gonna get out and check and make sure he was still alive in there, because he stopped so long. Then we come to the second stop sign, and hell, he didn't even slow down for it, just drove right through the state.
That might have been Colleen's dad.
Yeah, with Dad.
You guys I follow again.
No, we follow the rules.
Yeah.
Her dad's a little different, he's a little, this is no deal.
Hey, have you guys seen that fox back there lately in your backyard?
I haven't, but no.
It's come up to the pond area. We've had it out by our place.
Yeah, it's not surprising. I used to see fox and coyote in there quite often.
Yeah,
Into there,
that would be
and
cool.
deer.
Yeah.
And every so often I'll look out back and I'll have 5 or 6 of them standing in my backyard.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
they bother your trees or anything?
No,
We were talking, I think.
That's the way it should be.
I've been pretty fortunate. Nothing bothered mine, but they sure eating a lot of the neighbors stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
Or
control.
Roger and Linda across from me.
yeah.
They just blow their stuff right off.
Yeah, the bunnies kind of attack our stuff, so we got bunny fences up around all of our critical things, but.
I got a big fat cat. That works just like a bunny fence.
No, we've got, I think, 2 bald eagles now though, and the fox and a lot of red-tailed hawk.
Yeah.
So if we can get bigger trees, we can get bigger, predator animals for the bunnies. So it's coming, we gotta get the trees growing.
Well, you go not too far north of here. There's a ton of wild turkey and all that.
Yeah.
Well,
Very cool.
Just a mile north of here.
yeah, I know what up that, yeah.
There at that 306 lane, whenever the dead ends up there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they're gonna do with Arnold's house, because Arnold's moving into or has moved. But he lives down the hill over Ballard Creek in the back trees down there.
Uh,
And there are just, talk about wildlife galore there.
Really?
I believe it. Now if you just get prairie chickens.
And every time I've been down there, I've seen wild turkey and deer, fox, and just all sorts of stuff. It just makes you wonder what's gonna happen now that he's moved off the, what it's. You look like you were working, so I just kept on going. Oh, I didn't want to disturb work.
Said we got a track meet at 4:30, so I went there, saw one of the events. I go back, and then that's what the most down, when he talks about sessions. So, once you hear the question.
Yeah, that's just city working, normal day.
Between that and there's some guys down to. East of St. Louis in Missouri, yeah, it's planted season for us, so that's a busy season. When people want to plant.
Okay.
Yeah, everything. By that.
I can imagine that, and they've been rolling good until this last.
I would start, because otherwise we just harvest people a little more. It's like, so let's say it's down. We still just combine out. The planter is dense water.
Yeah, because you're relied on everything.
And, yeah, then it's every minute, so they're down.
Well, a lot of that planters, are dropping fertilizer, spot dropping fertilizer as they go based on maps and the whole works. It's got to be pretty technical to plant.
We,
Not like the old days, we run a wire and run the planter down and it clicked every section.
yeah, there's still some guys that know run around guys, and then there's like a longer,
Yeah.
like make sure that. You should be falling out with the product till that. Instead of racing the last board, but it seems like it's smaller operation.
Yep.
There's like, there's the ebb and flow, there's a small guy who's attack and then gets like so good margin. And then there's the small guy that puts his little capital into this.
I agree involved.
For me, that's my price. I have a hard time going. Otherwise you.
Yeah, but if you're gonna be on the top edge, you got those steps and savvy in the market, because you're gonna have three market drops. Right.
That's how you do. Well, it's open to you and they'll. Not talking certain, but I saw.
Did that, that's a cheap.
Please. I know Allison here. When money's really, people buy new buyers. So like full liner tractors, combines, and they're half. When money's free, they buy half on Sunday, and most should be. You can sort of outfit something for anywhere from 5 to 60,000, and it's what you're running. Get more kinds of drinks like
Well, you guys are putting up a building, or should. Yep. Right there on. Goes by farmer, house there, but it's next 2 doors down. He's the last house, he's a ranch style house, when he turned it lights. He owns that farm, right there at the corner, behind where you turn down. Yeah, with all the equipment outside and stuff, and the wall.
I don't remember how you eat there. Which are where the building is.
Yes, we did.
They started airport road from, when they started. They're used to
I know, I'm drug internet out there.
Oh, yeah.
That's a drug spider out there.
Smooth sound. Primary thing. It's like 3 months.
You want to do is get worse and worse. Yeah, I agree with that.
If you speak.
But is it put on the back of the frame?
Yeah.
Everybody's got it.
Thank you. Whatever.
That's.
Gentlemen. That was delayed response. Huh? So you're in road job.
That's second one. Eon, Eon, now. What day is that? Hey, of June or? I'm gonna leave it somewhere in May, but I think. And running So is that something you guys do in the past this year?
Well, they're Tuesday yet. Never done that.
Yeah, I would say it's set value, just slow it near that. I mean, when you're set, like, it's all.
We gotta make sure.
But I mean, if they weren't gonna make any big swing changes. They pass that, you still need another year.
I saw.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Good evening. The time is 6 p.m. I will call to order the Tuesday, April 22nd meeting of the Huxley City Council. Roll call, please.
Murphy,
Here.
Mulder,
Here.
Rigler,
Here.
Etcher,
Here.
Roberts,
Thank you very much. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll give you a motion.
Motion by Mr. Mulder.
Second by Etcher.
Second by Mr. Etcher. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please respond with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now is the time on the agenda for public comment. Anybody from the public is certainly welcome to speak. Do ask that you come to the podium and state your name and limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes in length. Anybody wishing to speak this evening? Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah. Is this live already? Okay, good. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm Jeff Herron, my wife Colleen. We live at 1000 Ballard Drive in Huxley. We're here tonight because 10 weeks ago, we introduced an issue to the council related to the back 60 feet of our property and really uncontrolled public access across this for convenience. Excuse me. And the outcome of that working session we did on February 11th, if I remember right, was that the city, I think, was going to investigate whether there were documents that would clarify the legal situation with that easement grant. We've heard nothing since then, so we're here tonight, hopefully to get a few feedbacks on where we stand with that process.
Great, I appreciate your comments. I'll comment on that during my closing remarks. Certainly other council members would have that opportunity as well, as should they so choose. Anybody else from the public wishing to make any comments this evening? Seeing no one rise. I need a motion to open the public hearing on the fiscal year 26 budget and CIP.
I'll give you a motion.
Motion by Mr. Mulder,
Second by Etcher.
second by Mr. Etcher. Now is the time for the public to make any comments they would like to regarding the FY 26 budget. Anybody wishing to speak on this tonight? Okay, Dave, do you want to give just a brief overview at this point? Or Barb, or? That's fine. That's
Nothing has changed since our last workshop.
fair enough. Last opportunity for public comment. Seeing no one rise. Need a motion to close the public hearing?
I give you a motion.
Motion, Mr. Mulder,
Offer a second.
second by Mr. Rigler. Any discussion? Is this a roll call? Voice vote. Okay. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please respond with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Up next, need a motion to approve resolution number 25035, approving the proposed annual budget for FY, for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026.
I'll give you a motion.
Motion, Mr. Mulder,
Second.
second, Mr. Etcher. Any questions, comments, and or discussion from council on this budget?
Sorry, I did reach out to Dave earlier this week about a sidewalk issue, and then we'll move that forward just under existing work, so.
Anything else? Hearing or seeing no further comments? I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Mulder,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Petcher,
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Moving along, I need a motion to approve resolution 25036, approving the proposed CIP for fiscal year ending June 30, 2026.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Etcher and a second by Mr. Mulder. Any questions or discussion or comments?
Point of clarification. That's where I thought we were a second ago when I made my comment about the sidewalk, so thanks. Okay.
Hearing no comments, I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Roberts,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
Moving along, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda unless there's any items council members wish to have pulled for separate discussion.
I'll offer a motion.
Motion by Mr. Rigler,
Give you a second.
second by Ms. Roberts. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Rigler,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
All right, item 6A this evening is a Arbor Day proclamation. All right, whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture set aside a special day for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, by cutting heating and cooling cost, moderate temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our community increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Therefore, I, David Kuhn, Mayor of the City of Huxley, do hereby proclaim April 26th as Arbor Day in the City of Huxley. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees and gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. I will sign this dated the 22nd of April, 2025. Golf clap. All right. Up next, item B on the agenda is a motion to approve resolution 25038, accepting the amended final plat, platted easements, and irrevocable letter of credit for Anthem Plat 3. Need a motion?
I'll give you a motion.
Motion, Mr. Mulder.
Give me a second.
Second, Ms. Roberts. Any questions? Dave?
I would just note, you folks had approved final plat 3. I think that was maybe back in February, I think it was originally platted. Chris went to file that with the auditor's office. The auditor took a little question to the lots. I think in final plat 2, lot 7 was still lot 7 in final plat 3, and they didn't like that. They thought that might be confusing going forward. So they asked that those lots be renumbered. So as you recall, where the apartments were to the east side, those went lots 4, 5, 6, and then this lot 7. They basically asked Chris to flip those. They're now lot 7 becomes 4, and they go in sequential down 5, 6, 7 with the apartments. And that's why you'll see the next item with the site plan, because the original apartment was on lot 4, which will now be lot 7. So this is all just to clarify things for the county and allow Chris to. Yep.
Seems very.
Sounds good. Appreciate the clarification. Any further comments on this item? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Etcher,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Item 6C this evening is resolution 25039, approving amended Republic Apartment Complex site plan and construction plans for Anthem Plat 2. Need a motion, please.
I'll offer a motion.
Motion by Mr. Rigler,
Second.
second by Ms. Roberts. Any questions? It was included in the packet, so that information was provided. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Murphy,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Item 6D this evening is resolution 25040, resolution approving and authorizing and approving a community attraction and tourism grant agreement between the Enhance Iowa Board and the City of Huxley for the Huxley Splash Pad in the amount of $100,000. Need a motion for this, please.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Etcher,
Second.
second, Mr. Mulder.
I would just note that with the reorganization of state government, the CAP program is now under the Enhanced Iowa Board, and thus is the reason why they're asking for a resolution approving the agreement that we had originally for the funds to be used for the splash pad.
Is there any risk of it not being approved?
They just
Okay.
need, no, it's
Okay.
been approved.
Okay.
And Heather met their funding guidelines and
We need to come out.
the money quick enough.
Yeah, thanks for that.
So,
Yes, sir, please.
so I don't understand. Was it for an extension or can you come up and explain it more, please?
It's actually kind of both. I'll let Heather explain it.
There's another person now that's doing it, and we already had the agreement and everything like that, but we have to submit anything that we've done thus far for us to have the extension. So I had to collect all the data from any payments that were made, which have really only been to B and K as of yet, because no other payments have been made, but we have to show proof of all that, and then we have to turn in this document so that so that we're able to, they are taking it to the board May 1st, and it should be submitted returned to us by May 15th. Because of all the idiosyncrasies of them abstaining from the CAT grant part, we just have to submit all this documentation. And this is one of the documentations we are required to submit is a resolution.
Yeah, thank you for that information, that clarification. Satisfied? Any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Roberts.
Yes.
Mulder,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Item 6E this evening is ordinance 542, an ordinance amending the City Code of Huxley, Iowa by amending chapter 69 regarding no parking zones. This is the second reading of this ordinance. Need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion, please.
Motion, Mr. Etcher.
I'll give it a second.
Second, Mr. Mulder. Any questions, comments on this? This is the second reading. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mulder,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yep.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, moving along this evening. Any department reports, verbal reports this evening? Please, Heather.
So I just wanted to make you aware of two things. One, Huxley Historical Society has decided not to move forward with the rail car project. So I just wanted to let you know that the expense for redoing it exceeded what they would like to do. So Park Board is still working on possible plans for that property, but as of right now, that rail car is not happening. Secondly, found out today that, and I'm just giving you this as FYI, it's probably going to need to go to a work session at some point. But the Clark mosquito control is no longer serving the area. Des Moines did not renew their prescription or whatever with them. So they are not going to have their Ankeny office. So they will no longer be able to spray here. So we have a couple options that we need to discuss, whether we revisit the concept of having the city employees do it, or we go back to Mosquito Control of Iowa, or try to find a different vendor. Yeah, so we needed to have that as a work session probably at the next meeting. If not prior to that, just because May is normally when we start, so just FYI.
Appreciate that. If you could make sure that you get those different pricing options to council before then. Any other department directors? See no one rise. Aaron. Thank you. Barb.
Just, we will have, I won't say a small amendment to the fiscal year 25 budget coming up next month. There were no capital projects included in the budget, and so we need to amend to include for those capital projects we carried over from last year.
Thank you. David?
Just a couple things. One is a reminder that our housing survey is still alive. Folks can still take that if you haven't taken it. That's available to the general public through May 2nd. I think there's links on our Facebook pages. There's a link on our website. We've got things posted around the complex here. So we encourage everybody to take that housing survey. It'll be very, very helpful as they put together our housing study for Huxley moving forward. And the other thing I would just received a application for rezoning and annexation regarding Huxley Heights. There's some additional information that's going to have to be provided, but I would see that probably, if they get everything done, probably coming forward, maybe at your next meeting to potentially set a hearing date for that process.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mr. Murphy?
Nothing.
Mr. Mulder? Mr. Rigler?
Not tonight.
Thatcher?
Nothing.
Roberts?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. I did want to just circle back to the gentleman that spoke during the public comments. I did briefly speak to staff regarding this. Their contact, the individual that they've been waiting to make contact with is who had been out of town for quite some time, apparently is back in town now, so they're looking to make that connection. Hope to have something to you here soon. I can certainly appreciate that you started this process quite some time ago, and we have not gotten resolution to you, but apparently the appropriate people are back in communication now, so hopefully we should see something sooner. I encourage you to continue to attend and keep us at the forefront. So with that, I have no additional comments, and that will conclude our regular business for this evening. We do have a work session this evening with 2 items. Item A is the Plaza TIF agreement. I think we're all pretty, well, David, you want to give us kind of a brief, or Barb? Okay.
In a nutshell, it appears that there was an error made when the council approved the resolution and the documents. That error was caught by the Story County Assessor, and there were emails back and forth between the former city administrator and Chris and the former city clerk. In July of 2022, the former city administrator had asked Chris to review the minimum assessment agreement. If it's in order, the city will take steps. Documents are executed and ready for signature. I think that probably what happened was the city administrator left before that could be completed. Because we have looked high and low, we can find no executed documents for this. When I came in and we started looking for this and we wanted to recertify the debt, we had the bonding attorney re-prepare the development agreement. She prepared it from her notes, and all of her notes indicated just the one parcel. However, in addition to her notes, there was a TIF cash flow sheet from Chip Schultz, and everything on that sheet is indicative of both parcels being included.
Thank you very much. What are the steps moving forward here, if council so desires to move forward and re-execute that agreement?
If the council would, I think that we would probably call the bond council, and I'm assuming that a second development agreement would have to be made for that second parcel, since the first one is already in place and there's been debt certified against it. So my opinion would be that she'd want to execute a second agreement for the second parcel so that we could make the timeline as to where it needs to be.
Council have any questions, concerns regarding this?
So my recollection, Chris, was that it was for both parcels. But with that being said, I'm gonna drop this on you. The parking lot has not been done. The lighting has not been done. Because the parking lot was supposed to be, all the parking lot was supposed to be repaved. And the lighting, which this is my recollection of the events. So, yeah, come on up. So
I'd love to put you on the plaza.
I,
I put about 500,000, I put easily $500,000 more than I planned budget wise.
I don't know what you had for budget.
I-
I have no idea what you had for budget.
One
But-
point one.
But the agreements that I remember, and I do remember both parcels.
Yeah.
But the agreement was the parking lot was supposed to be repaved and the lighting was supposed to have been done.
I did building lights.
It's okay.
Yeah.
The
about-
parking lot lighting.
Yeah, but those are owned by Alliant. They're not owned by me.
So anyway, that was supposed to have been done and this hasn't been done yet. As far
I
as
can't, the parking lot lights are owned by
Okay,
Alliant,
so-
so I did building lights. So I think that is.
I don't want this make this argumentative at this time.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, I'm all for this,
Okay,
doing this for you. And revamping this. But I think these things need to be done. I also, as a council member, I go to that area pretty much 2 or 3 times a week.
okay,
And I see these, it's basically like a parking lot for your construction.
yeah, so I'm building a
So-
new,
I
New
know,
shop.
but what I'm saying is, it doesn't look good coming right off 69. You know, you see your trucks and all your other stuff, you're basically, you're holding it for a storage area.
okay, well,
Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah. The,
Okay, but I agree with you totally.
yeah.
I
well,
think we should rectify this, because I think it was both. In my mind, it was both. It was for the entire plaza. And I wasn't for this originally, because when I first came on the count, I agree with you. I can't believe this is still going on, because I'm going into my last year. And this is still going on. And when I first came on, I says, we can't vote on this until we get on. But anyway, but just as one member of the council saying to you, that's my view.
Well,
Noted, and we are building a new shop that's what we have broke ground on Anthem Access, well, all that will be removed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but here's my problem with that, Chris, is we're voting on not paving certain areas of that. It's gonna be the same storage area, and you're saying it's not gonna happen, but with all these vehicles being parked out there, but is it gonna happen?
Yeah, it is, on the gravel,
Yeah.
that's an outdoor parking at the rear of that lot.
And that's not what it's for.
Yeah, it is, it's for storage trailers and stuff like that, that's what.
Trucks, storage, no, it's not. So that's not what our ordinances cover. Our ordinance covers that you have to pave that. I'm sorry, but our ordinance covers that it has to be paved so that it's parking.
I will remind you that, for the first building, we allowed the gravel. And there is an agreement that's signed and it's been recorded that when the second building or within 3 years, it does have to be paved.
Okay.
So that's what council, agreed to. Chris has signed the agreement. It's been recorded. And it's when either the second 28,000 square foot structure goes up or 3 years, whichever comes first, then he has to pave that. So.
Well, I don't know what, because I know that,
Yeah,
with Roberts.
I was gonna say, I do remember the lighting and you went with the building light because you couldn't do the parking lot. I do remember that. And I know it was a 1-1 and 1-6, so. Yeah, the only thing I don't remember, and I'm just being, I don't remember about I thought we were gonna pave the whole parking lot too.
Yeah, you can get that big parking lot where it really looks pretty good. I don't know why I need to fix that.
And I think just back then too, there was possibly a business gonna go into scooters and maybe that's where we got sideways with that piece, but Yep. that's the only one I'm talking about.
I just haven't quite got that. Yeah.
So you did tell us at that time, I remember, that you had a business that was looking at coming in there and you were holding off on the parking lot because of that.
That jump right in front of there.
Exactly, but that never came about. So, and we're still sitting with the parking lot not being done.
Just so I can
Oh,
also.
I'm sorry,
point out-
Chris.
Yeah, just so you, if you guys want, have your internet, you can pull up the assessor site and look at my taxes on the plaza. They've more than doubled. And I've not changed a single square footage of that building. All I've done is change the front facade, and that is pretty disheartening and sickening to know that I've took a slum and blight product and made it better for the city, and I get punished for that. And that's, explain that to me, Rory. I'd love to.
So I agree with you. You're prime example. You just said what I thought originally.
Yeah.
You did a facade.
Yep. So
So you didn't do any roofs. You didn't do any interior on these buildings.
I did do a roof. I had to do, I put about $85,000 of roofs in. I got another $200,000 roof.
It was a facade. Yeah, I agree with you there. Thank you. Yeah, so heating, cooling. Yeah, what? Did you improve on those or can you show us what you improved? Did you improve on those?
I don't know if that was the agreement, though.
No, and what I'm saying is he's done more than a facade.
I think it was to increase the tax rolls.
Yes.
Brand new sewer system for the entire big building. I've added new bathrooms. 6 new bathrooms. I've put about 60,000 into the roof. Putting the gravel down every year.
Chris, I'm for you getting what you've been told you were gonna get.
Yeah.
If you do what you said you're gonna do, the parking lot and the lighting.
So you know what I'm getting.
And that's all I'm asking.
$1,000. $6 million.
No, I'm not saying that, Chris.
What I'm getting doesn't.
Chris, you asked for this.
Yeah.
And we're gonna give you, I would vote for giving you what you asked for, but you have to give us what you said you were gonna do.
I've done, in my opinion.
The parking lot and the lighting. Okay, thank you.
For me, I don't know that any of this conversation adds any value, from my perspective, because I wasn't here at the time. But what I would say this conversation adds is the need for the city of Huxley to put all this in writing going forward. I just really question how many of these skeletons are still gonna drop out of the closet that somebody promised me something, and it's a he said, she said, we have no documentation. So for me sitting here, I mean, I've just got to go with the premise that the agreement was agreed upon. Because I mean, we've got more evidence that there was some sort of an agreement than not. And so I can only make a decision based on what I know today, which is very limited. I just hope we take these lessons and don't continue this shenanigan of a process moving forward, because it's not a very good process for anybody involved.
Fair comments.
And there was, when I was going through everything in our index of resolutions, there's the title of a resolution called Resolution Approving Final Terms of Agreement with Huxley Plaza LLC for Tax Increment Financing, so on and so forth. However, there was no resolution in the book. When I went back to see like packets and things like that, it was never even on the agenda, this resolution. And they did approve, the council did approve the preliminary terms of the agreement. They did that in November of 2021. So we do have the preliminary, I mean, we have a resolution outlining the preliminary terms of the agreement, but we don't have a resolution approving the final terms of the agreement.
While Chip Schultz did flop saying there's
And I'm still waiting for him to get me his documents from this project.
So I was on council in 2021 also, and I remember that it was two lots there. So I kind of agree with where you're at. I don't know how the paperwork followed up after that because I left, but I remember the preliminary agreements and that kind of stuff. So I think I'm kind of on board, but yeah, just in that final resolution, if there was one, what was the things required? I don't remember. I don't recall that. So, yeah, I'm supportive of including both lots. So, yeah.
It wasn't.
I agree with you, Chris. It was both lots. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind. And you know, I was the one who was opposing this, so I'm telling you, it was both. So I mean, if there's. Unfortunately, John, you're right. It's like. If there's no documentation that we have, which I think that's on the city's part. Yeah, I mean.
Sorry, there is some documentation I've seen.
But the terms were not there.
Yeah, it's not.
So,
There was a guaranteed minimum assessment that was like the caveat of how, because there was still, when we first proposed.
Well, and I can understand that. It's just a stewards of taxpayer dollars. It's not very wise for us to make agreements and not have documentation to how we're spending money. That's just not the way that I operate.
Yeah.
Mr. Rigler?
Thanks, Mayor. I think Rory and John kind of came to a similar conclusion. What was shared with us is indicative of two parcels, so I'm in favor of moving forward. I don't like holding people to something that wasn't in ink, and everyone at least remembered the two parcels. If something came to light where there were conditions to meet it, it would probably change my tune, but as it's written or what was shared with us, I think it makes sense to do that based on what we have documented here, so.
If I can just jump in there, I had remembered seeing something originally, and it was back in the back of it. There was in June of 21, there was a plaza rehab estimate that kind of laid out, I think, everything that was going to be done. There was demo of the red roof, front facade, sign monuments, dumpster hauling, framing material, framing labor, steel awnings, thin brick, hardy siding material, siding labor, metal caps, flashing, exterior painting, roof tie-ins, lights and electrical. There was a quantity of 32 of those. Security systems for all buildings. There was tear out and replace parking lot. There was a quantity there. There was a quantity for gravel in the rear of the building and new utilities for the new lot. So originally, at least according to what was presented for an estimate back in 21, totaled about 812,510, and there was a 10% contingency that took it up to about 893. So
In reference to the parking lot, the quantity, is that a square footage or a dollar?
I am assuming that it's 40,000. So I'm assuming that's square feet. I don't know how else you would do a parking lot unless it was square feet. So it was, I mean, in that estimate, it was 40,000 square feet of concrete replacement, according to this.
The price per square.
650.
So, I'm good with this as everybody else is. The only thing is, like, John, I'm total agreement with you, is we have supposed to have written. We have our meeting's supposed to be recorded and all this information, and we can't have any of it right now. I mean, I'm not gonna blame you for any of this because this is our fault. Yeah, so me being the way I am to you is not a personal thing against you. It's just the way I remember it. And, I
can say that I did all that list in one.
Perfect. Well, I think we've got a general consensus amongst council that we'd like to see this brought back and we wish to execute the agreement in the original spirit. So if you could prepare that. In the meantime, this will be a couple weeks before we're back. That'll give council members a chance to view the property if they haven't, to make sure that it meets the 3 week, it'll be a couple, 3 weeks, meets the spirit of the agreement. So.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Just say no to go.
Thanks for your comments, Chris. Moving on, the last item on the work session is regarding the Ames resource recovery. Council may recall, I briefly spoke to this maybe 2-3 months ago. The Ames resource recovery plant is no longer going to burn the refuse that's delivered to them. There's issues with burning that, contaminating their boiler, piping. Long story short, that whole works will get shut down. That leaves Ames Resource Recovery in the position of trying to decide what to do with its trash. At the same time, the Boone landfill, which is where it's currently going, the non-burned stuff, Boone has determined that they're reaching their capacity faster than they thought they were going to. So that's not going to be a long-term partnership. Boone has agreed to take that refuse for another 2 years, or complete another 2 years. And then after that, it looks like it's likely to get trucked over to Carroll. So all of our garbage in Huxley, as well as most of Story County, will get consolidated in Ames. The city of Ames is going to build a new transfer station, as well as kind of a recycling sorting center. It'll be a big project, be a pretty neat project. It'll be way out east by Friel Drive. If you're familiar with Ames, that's pretty far out east. That's where the transfer station will be. So all of your garbage will get trucked there. And then from there, shipped over to Carroll. So as part of that, Ames needs to build this new resource recovery building plant. And it's a multi-million-dollar project. In order to do that, they need to bond for it. In order to bond for it, they will be asking communities, including Huxley, to sign on to a new 28E agreement with a longer term to it, obviously to cover those bond payments or to guarantee those bond payments. So this is really just information tonight. You'll see something on it in the very near future. They had sent a letter out in February indicating that we might see that within a couple weeks. It's been a couple months. We still have not seen that. I had a meeting with the Story County Mayor's last week on this topic. There's still a lot of moving parts and things to figure out. There's really a couple decisions that Huxley will need to make. Do we wish to continue to contract with Ames Resource Recovery? If we didn't wish to, we would need to negotiate with a different dump. You don't contract with a hauler, you contract with a dump. So we could reach out to there's only a handful of dumps and try to negotiate them taking all of our refuse. It's probably not a feasible option, probably not advisable to do that, but I present that because it is an option. Otherwise, we need to sign the new 2080. The other thing we need to potentially consider, and this is still being worked out and figured out, is if Huxley wishes to mandate recycling, curbside recycling. Again, don't know what benefit, what dollar benefit there would be to residents for doing that, but that may come to us as an option. So I would encourage you to be thinking about that and talking to your neighbors as to whether curbside recycling, if people find that to be worthwhile, if they're willing to participate, that would be of interest, and we'll need that information eventually. The last thing, and this is really kind of ancillary to the resource recovery plant, would be a yard waste disposal site for Huxley residents. So we're part of Story County, and you can take your yard waste up to the Friel Drive area. There's a recycling place for your grass clippings and whatnot. It's not super convenient for people in Huxley. Not everybody owns a pickup truck, and some of that stuff you don't really want to haul in your car. So I guess I would encourage council members to think about the possibility of a local resource site within Huxley city limits or adjacent there too, for grass clippings, leaves, branches, etc., run and operated by Huxley staff. The mulch and or black dirt, whatever comes off of that, potentially is given away or sold for a little bit. I don't know what any of that looks like, but I guess I'm looking to gauge council on their interest in a yard waste disposal site within or adjacent to the city. That concept has been brought to council before by residents, and at the time, council didn't have enough support to do that, but new council, new day. I'm looking to kind of gauge that interest. Dave was going to, I talked to him about it just the other day, and he was going to start talking to his staff to see if there's any sites that are even feasible for that concept.
Yeah, I did visit with Jeff Peterson the other day, and I think there's a couple of sites that he didn't feel were very good sites, but he did have one that he thought potentially could be utilized. It would take a little bit of work. We'd probably have to work, I believe, with the county for some access, Jeff. I think is what you said. Yeah, if it's big enough, because it's only an acre or acre and a half. So.
Amongst council, is there any desire to do a resource yard waste drop-off site? Okay.
I think it's a good idea, but I don't know if we have the resources and then also the staffing, and it's gonna cost us.
It does.
Yeah, I've heard people ask about why Huxley doesn't have something like that. I guess Jeff mentioned it's an acre. I know the guy up in Ames, Jonas, that manages that one.
Yep.
Theirs is a heck of a lot bigger. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we can scale it per capita and figure out what we're actually looking at or what it should require if we're gonna do it, but I don't want to do it and outgrow it in 3 years or 5 years, but otherwise I'm in favor of it.
Okay.
You're talking of the trees or grass and
Grass
that kind of
clippings,
stuff. And
leaves.
yeah, I think Jeff would love to manage that pile. I've definitely taken advantage of the stuff in Ames in the past when I lived in Ames, and it was nice to have a spot to drop it off. And yeah, so I'd love to have one. It's handy. Yeah. We definitely have to talk through what the requirements would be. With all,
So
with
I've
all
been,
good things, it takes a lot of research to
Yeah.
figure out, and see how it fits into our structure. So I'd be willing to look at it.
I have been out to the one out east of Des Moines. And the problem is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but they've got a huge machine that they run this through. It heats everything up and then, and it stockpiles it. And, yeah, I just don't know if we can afford that. But that's great because I mean, that place out there, is it waste management or, but anyway, but, they give the different cities in Polk County, you can come pick up so many loads, of the mulch. But I just don't know, we got 1 acre and they've got like, oh shoot, quite a bit. But yeah. So, I just don't know if we have the facilities, the capabilities, the manpower and all that stuff. I'd love to see it happen, but I just don't know if we have it.
Sure. And maybe part of that conversation is, do we just become more of a transfer station? So, or maybe grinding it, mulching it a little bit, and then hauling it to somewhere.
So Carroll seems a lot farther than, because that's just east of East Polk, Southeast Polk. So, I mean, Carroll seems a lot farther than that. I mean, can we join with that waste management?
It's possible. There's a few aspects to that. I don't know that it's going to be any cheaper. Right now we're negotiating with Story County, so you've got, the purchasing power of that volume, so to speak. Whether Waste Management would even accept us is a whole nother thing. And then beyond that, yes, it's certainly possible. They're looking at taking approximately 8 semi trucks per day over to Carroll, is what they're estimating. That's the best they can do. They'll grind it and compact it and put it in semis and haul it to Carroll. So could we get a better rate at Waste Management in Southeast Polk, or east of Southeast Polk? Possibly. Your haulers are going to be driving a heck of a lot further. Your local garbage waste person is going to drive a heck of a lot further to deliver it there, because they don't usually have transfer stations for them. So yeah, I don't know what the economics are. To my knowledge, all of the other cities in Story County intend to sign on as they were before. Doesn't mean we have to, but for what that information is worth. Mr. Murphy.
I know that there's a lot of smaller towns our size that do offer this kind of service in one way or the other, so it's got to be feasible somewhere. And I also know that Boone County is no longer taking construction waste from Story County. So while garbage can go there, construction waste cannot. So I run into that the other day. I had to haul a load a different direction because it cannot go to Boone. So with that, I think that really we do got to get busy and looking at options here. And I just advise that maybe we keep all options on the table and not necessarily just follow what somebody else is going to do. Look at it and see what the best option is for us here. Being in the southern part of the county, we might have better options than where everybody else is.
Fair enough. Regarding yard waste concept, are you generally not opposed to it? Further research?
Well, I think
Okay.
we ought to look into it, because the problem with this, when you don't make it easy for people end up dumping it in roadside ditches and everything else, which causes all sorts of problems for everybody else out there. Growing up in the rural area myself, I don't want to see that. So I think we ought to find a solution for it.
The other alternative is, of course, burning those wet leaves and smoking out half the town. So
That's always a good option.
Just point of clarification, Mayor.
Not necessarily. No, that's not necessary. That's correct. You're correct. You're correct.
I just wanted to clarify on the, yard waste.
Mhm.
We called it a Huxley thing. Is it something where maybe the vision would be Cambridge Slater would be able to use it at some fee similar to what like Ames does if somebody from outside of the town comes?
It certainly can. Yeah, what that looks like, if there's a fee structure associated with it, certainly reasonable. I'm all for regionalization. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially when you've got multiple small communities, Slater, Cambridge, Huxley, Kelly, maybe, to try to regionalize something for Southern Story County. I think we've got some general interest, so I would direct staff to kind of further explore some options, whether that's mulching it up and literally keeping it here in Huxley in some fashion, if that's a transfer station, what that might look like. If you could put together some concepts for us, I would appreciate that, and we'll talk about that at a future work session. With that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Roberts, second by Mr. Mulder. Before I ask for that roll call, our next meeting is not until May 13th. So we've got 3 weeks off. Enjoy your time off. All those in favor for the motion to adjourn, please respond with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.